Hello Maths Champion, you're welcome to mathematics class today and I hope you're ready to learn a lot in mathematics. So right now we'll be learning easy percentages. Previously we have been learning mathematics on percentages. So if you haven't watched the previous videos, make sure you go there and watch it immediately. Now, last time we learned that percentages mean per 100 because percent is from the word cent and cent means 100. Now these are examples of percentages, like we have 30%, we have 7%, we have 22%. You can also have 150% and so on. But before we begin doing anything on percentages, we are going to learn something. And what is that thing? It is dividing by powers of 10 because percent is a power of 10. Now, for example, if you have 3 over 10 and you're meant to convert it to decimal, it is simply 0.3. Why is it 0.3? It is because 10 has only one zero, which is 1 as its own power. So when you're dividing by 10, just introduce a decimal point one place to the left. That is, from the right to the left, count 1. So you have your decimal point here, and that will be 0.3, and that's equal to 0.3. So let's see another example. If you have 7 over 10, you have 7, introduce a decimal point counting one place to the left because 10 has 1 0. So that is 1. So you have point, and that is 0.7. What if you have 225 divided by 10? You do the same thing. From your right to your left, count 1. So your decimal point comes here, which is 22.5. Okay, that is 22.5. Now that is for dividing by 10. What if it is 100? Now let's see some examples. If you have 3 divided by 100, 100 has 2 zeros, so you count from the decimal point 2 places to the left. 2 places to the left. So your decimal point is assumed to be on the right hand side for all whole numbers. Then count 1, 2. So your decimal point has been shifted to this position, leaving you to have 0 in this empty space, and you must have 0 on the left hand side, and that is equal to 0.03. What if I have 228 divided by 100? Okay, 100 has 2 zeros, so you count from the decimal point, which is on the left hand side, or which is on the right hand side of all whole numbers, count to the left 1, 2. So your decimal point has been shifted here, which is equal to 2.28. Okay, what if you have 15 divided by 100? You do the same thing. 100 has 2 zeros. Assume you have a decimal point here and count it 2 places to the left. So you have 1, 2. So your decimal point has been shifted here. Okay, then you have 0 to your left hand side, making you have 0.15. So that's equal to 0.15. So you need to take note of division by powers of 10. And that is by powers of 10, which is 1, and by powers of 10, which is 100. So 10 has single zero, 100 has double zeros. Now let's dive in proper into percentages. Now previously we have learned how to find 10%, 5% of numbers, and right now we'll be finding just the percentage of any figure. So for example, 16% of 50 is the same thing as 50% of 16. 16% of 50 is the same thing as 50% of 60. And what should you do next? Write the percentage as a fraction. So that is 50 divided by 100 times 16. Off means times. Now watch out, make sure the denominator remains as a power of 10, either 10 or 100. So it will be easy for you to divide by 10 or to divide by 100. So 0 cancels 0, we are left with 10. I wouldn't want us to reduce the fraction to the lowest term right now, so it will be easy for us to divide. So 5 times 16 is 80, so that will be 80 over 10. And 0 cancels 0, you're left with 8. So the answer here is 8. You can see how simple it is. So get ready for the second example. The next example, okay, so the next example is also on percentages, which says 4% of 20. 4% of 20 is the same thing as 20% of 4. So let's also rewrite it as 20% of 4. So you have 20 divided by 100 times 4. Okay, so you can strike out 0 from the numerator and the denominator. So 2 times 4 is 8. That is 8 over 10. And how do you divide by powers of 10? From the right hand side, introduce a decimal point. 10 has single zero, so count one place to the left, 1. You're counting 1 because 10 has single zero. So your decimal point has been shifted to this place. So that's 0.8, which is same as 0.8. Okay, the next one is 8% of 70. 8% of 70 is the same thing as 70% of 8. So we can have it written as 70% of 8. But in our next example, I'm not going to interchange it because it's also the same. So that is 70 over 100 times 8. Okay, so strike out 10. So you're left with 7 over 10 times 8. So 7 times 8 is equal to 56, then divided by 10. So what is 56 divided by 10? Without thinking, you should know the answer. Just introduce a decimal point one place to the left. So that is 1. So that is equal to 5.6. So now let's see the next example, as this class is interesting for us. Are you ready? So do not forget that when dividing by 10, you should count from the decimal point one place to the left. And when dividing by 100, count from the decimal point 2 places to the left. Now 9% of 30 will be 9 over 100, which is same thing as 30% of 9. 9 over 100 times 30, let's say over 1. So we can strike out zeros. So we are left with 9 times 3. 9 times 3 is 27, and that is 27 divided by 10. So you should be able to tell me the answer straight away. 10 has only single zero, so introduce a decimal point one place to the left. That is at this point. So you have 2.7. Now the next one is 18% of 60. What is 18% of 60? So that will be 18 over 100 times 60 over 1. So you also strike out 10 in the numerator, 10 in the denominator. So you have 18 times 6. So what is 18 times 6? So let's use our space to calculate. 6 times 8 is 48. You write 8 and carry 4. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 4 is 10. So that's 108, right? So you have 108 divided by 10. 10 times 1 is 10. So how would you write your answer? Introduce a decimal point one place to the left here. So that is equal to 10.8. You can see how simple that is. I hope you're enjoying it. Now 11% of 82 is same as 11 over 100 times 82. Now at this point, it is very easy to quickly calculate this. If you haven't watched the video on multiplication by 11, how to multiply by 11 in an easy way, make sure you get our previous classes and watch it. It's very interesting. Now 11 over 100 times 82, just multiply the numerator and let's divide by 100. That's the easiest way. Now 82 times 11, when you're multiplying 2 digits by 11, what do? Write down the first digit and the last digits together, leaving space in between. Now add up the 2 digits. 8 plus 2 is 10. You write 0, you carry 1. 1 plus 8 is 9, and that is equal to 902 divided by 100. Divided by 100. So that's how to multiply by 11. So now, dividing by 100, you count from the decimal point 2 places to the left. So you assume your decimal point is outside the last digit, behind the last digit on the right hand side. So you have 1, 2. So let's count 1, 2. So your decimal point will be here, and that's equal to 9.02. Now the next one is 42% of 11. That is 42 over 100 times 11. Okay? So now we will also multiply the numerator and divide by 100. So don't forget, watch the video on multiplication by 11. So write down the first and the second digits, leaving a space in between and adding them up together. 4 plus 2 is 6. That's 462 divided by 100. You should know where your decimal point will be. From here, 1, 2. That's 4.62. 4.62. The reason we counted 2 places to the left is because 100 has 2 zeros. So it's a power of 10 raised to 2. So now let's see the next example. 56% of 11 is also the same thing as 11% of 56. So now we have 56 divided by 100 times 11. So let's get the answer, the product. Write down the first and the last digits, adding them up together. Now this method is only applicable to multiplying by 11. 5 plus 6 is 11. Write 1, carry 1, and that's 616 divided by 100. Okay, divided by 100. So that will be 1, 2. The answer is 6.16. Now this is how to find percentages of numbers, different from 5%, 10%, 20, 30, 40%. I hope you have enjoyed this class, but I am not done. Get ready to learn more in mathematics. I'll see you soon.